Thanks for joining and listening in. We're going to talk about super simple hybrid data access. And my name's Sumit Sarkar. I work for Progress in the Data Direct business. So our business is about data connectivity. So we thought we'd give you a simple tool. It's something anybody can use. It's not necessarily artificial intelligence, machine learning, or all those good things, but we'll show you what you got. Again, so the Progress Data Direct business line, we've been around for a couple of decades. We connect all kinds of different applications to different sources of data through industry standard SQL and industry standard REST. And when we say super simple hybrid data access, so what we talk about today, we're going to talk about data ingestion for hybrid environments. We'll talk about how to operationalize some of the big data you might have with standard REST and SQL interfaces. And then we'll talk about how you can connect your different analytics and data management tools, or even your different data science and different data engineering processing frameworks from a hybrid environment. And hybrid means cloud and on-premises. And so what makes access super simple? So when we connect data, it can work with any big data framework, whether it's Hadoop or Spark. Our hybrid data access, when we're accessing stuff from the cloud to the ground, it works without a specific, let's say, cloud provider's technology. We don't require VPN, SSH tunnels, or reverse proxies. We connect over HTTPS in a secure way. Then we support industry standards for SQL and REST. So that, in other words, if you're using an application that supports one of these standards, you can plug in our connector, and your users can just access the data without friction. So someone like Tom here could probably do some kind of complex number crunching and data analytics, even though he otherwise may not be able to. And again, the connectivity we do provide can be self-hosted in your application or cloud, or we have a version that's hosted and managed by Progress. All right, and if you guys had a couple of drinks, this is a Prezi. You might get dizzy, so just close your eyes. All right, so in the world we've got in the big cloud in the middle, that's really our hybrid data pipeline, our hybrid connectivity service. And again, we can host it, or you can host it in your own application. And on the left, we just have, is that left? Your left. Salesforce is just an example of an application we'll talk about. On the right, there's some cloud sources. And again, on the ground, we have a couple other systems. We'll talk about how we can connect all this together in super simple ways. All right, so again, hybrid data pipeline. It's our hybrid big data connectivity service, and supports SQL standards and REST standards. Anybody ever heard of ODBC, JDBC, or OData? All right, good. People know what it means, because you can never get enough acronyms. All right, so with our connectivity service, these are some of the sources we support. We support a host of things in the cloud: SQL, NoSQL systems with semi-structured data, cloud sources, big data systems, Spark, all this good stuff we can support. And when we say we support Hadoop, and Hive have a lot of different versions, and a lot of different distributions. We run like 85 million tests to make sure it always works. And so this is just giving you a chart of some of the disruptions we do test for. So very super simple by us doing all the heavy testing, and you get to just connect to it. And then when you look at a more detailed view of what we actually cover from the hybrid perspective, this is a list of sources and some of the versions and things like that. It's a pretty comprehensive list. It should cover almost anything you guys have, whether it's customer data, ERP systems, MRP, finance, whatever. Right? And so when we go back out to this picture, we have this service, we have stuff in the cloud, we have stuff on the ground. And so when we look at Hadoop in particular and some of the interfaces, if you want to get data into Hadoop, or let's say Spark, with Scoop is the open source tool that loads and unloads data between Hadoop and business systems. And Spark, there's a way you can do this through we call on-demand data frames APIs. So either way, these are kind of the technologies that those data engineers might care about. But since we support standards, it just works out of the box with these things. And so let's say you have that big data platform, you have all these cloud sources. And so with our service, you can access all of those different sources, whether it's the marketing automation data, your CRM data, or other cloud sources. And we access that through standard JDBC. And again, that's how the Scoop and the Apache Spark Data Frames API work. So a nice single interface, a bunch of different sources of data, batch or real time, however you want to access, on-demand access. And then let's take a look at maybe Salesforce. If anybody use Salesforce? All right. So let's say you use Salesforce. You got a bunch of data engineers building you a nice data lake. With our technology, you can also Salesforce supports OData, and with OData, you can have point-and-click access to any system behind your firewall, including Hadoop. And so you can have and display records coming out of your Hadoop system and show them directly in real time in Salesforce using the same hybrid connectivity service. And the way that works is our hybrid connectivity service can run in the cloud, and it can connect through the firewall and onto any source, whether it's Hadoop, Oracle, SQL Server, what have you. And we connect through HTTPS, so you don't have to poke a hole in your firewall and get attacked by hackers and things like that. So it's secure and firewall friendly. And then we expose that data using OData, which is the industry standard REST API. Interacts with JSON data, and also secure with HTTPS. So we have customers like Intuit. I don't know if they're here, but they have 10,000 users in Salesforce. They access their data from Salesforce, from Oracle Siebel. At Progress, we use this to access some of data in our Hadoop data lake so that our sales team can have insights into other things. So again, the hybrid connectivity works from cloud to ground as well. In this case, we're using REST instead of SQL with JDBC. And also with the Salesforce side, you can also connect from the ground. You can also have, if you have Hadoop in the cloud, maybe you have Amazon EMR or SAP AltaScale, one of the cloud Hadoop distributions, or maybe have a cloud Spark distribution. You can also access those same ground data sources using the same pipelines we have that are super simple and hybrid friendly. Again, those are the JDBC. So with Spark, it uses the data frames and data sources APIs, and with Hadoop, we use the Scoop interface. All right. And everything in transit is always encrypted over HTTPS. Okay, and then the way it works more detailed is we do install this, what we call an on-premise connector. If you use some of the cloud providers, they might give you something like a gateway or something like that. But we have one that's vendor-agnostic to any provider or cloud. And it effectively gives you a unique connection ID and makes sure that whatever you connect to only connects to your endpoint. We have a authentication in 2 different places to make sure no one's hacking into your firewall. So it's a security feature. And then when we talk back to the Salesforce ecosystem, we talked about the OData and the industry standard REST API. If it's new to you, there's a broad adoption for the OData standard. And a lot of different vendors, application development, data analytics vendors, database vendors, the federal government, lots of different areas are adopting OData. And so we're starting to get a lot more demand for the big data space. So a lot of people at this show are starting to say, hey, I want to expose my data through OData so that my clients can connect their favorite OData endpoints, whether it's Power BI, Tableau, or Salesforce. All right, and so that's a lot of different ways to connect stuff. It's all super simple because it's a direct connection. It's on demand. We didn't talk about the third area. So if you have other tools out there, so I know a lot of data scientists and folks have their Jupyter notebooks, or they might have RStudio. I think they're over there. Other different tools you have, and you want to access stuff, and you go home, and you don't want to use a VPN. Again, you can use the same super simple connectivity service, securely access your back office systems. I put the vendors in there because I did this pitch to, we won an award in Massachusetts, the Mass TLC Award. So I use local companies. That's the only reason they're up there, no particular endorsement. We won that because I was pandering. And then we connect all that through the same service. And that particular standard might be ODBC for some of those tools, just to illustrate the different ones. And then some public references. Again, Intuit is a nice one. Chatham Financial uses it to ingest some marketing customer data into their they have a big data repository or data warehouse repository. And then we have some links in there. You can type them in on your phone if you have the time to read them. I don't have short links. I wasn't smart enough to think about that. But just different areas. You can see we did a hackathon with OData. So we had really cool stuff where some guys hooked up. They built an app, and they basically connect to any CRM, and they tell you a joke. And then they measure your facial response, and then they use Microsoft Cognitive Services and score how funny you thought the joke was. And they store it back in the CRM. They use our hybrid connectivity service. It was a fun exercise. And then the Oracle World, SAP, MicroStrategy, all these different tools. There's different tutorials on how to use the same hybrid pipeline to connect your different things. And if you're interested in learning more about this super simple hybrid data access, I did include a short link there, progress.co/hybrid. And progress is misspelled intentionally. So progress.co/hybrid. And that's my email, Twitter, and you can chalk me on LinkedIn. And I hope, with 12 seconds left, I hope that was informative. And if you have any questions, you can find our booth over. We're serving hot dogs and beer towards the middle back. All right, thank you guys.